affect you. And now, The Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us on the only news talk, news radio authority for this region, RGV of Texas. It is News Talk 710 KURV. I was about to say, like, happy Thursday, but it's still a shock, and it still hurts quite a bit. Dear friend of our radio station, our radio family, and just a friend of South Texas, man. He loved his family. He loved DHR. He loved folks he worked with, and so many different causes in South Texas that benefited from this shining star, this light that was our friend Lawrence Gelman. And I'm dedicating this first half of our program today to honor his life. See, at this moment, by the way, I'm Sergio Sanchez, and I want to thank you for listening to News Talk 710 KURV. And if you have friends and family who want to check in, they can do so online through KURV.com, our website, KURV.com. We have a Listen Live segment, a little button you can press, Listen Live. Radio para mí is the free app. So I'm thinking, in my mind's eye, I can just see them right now. Many of the folks who were at Kreidler Funeral Home last night in McAllen, probably all of them, and maybe even more at this moment. I believe that they're probably, all these folks in our radio family, listening audience, and business folks, and folks in leadership, and our medical community. They're probably headed over to South McAllen right now to Temple Emmanuel Cemetery on South Ware Road. Final goodbye to our dear friend and brother, Dr. Lawrence Richard Gelman. I'm going to share with you a little bit of audio of one of his many broadcasts through the years. I thank God we still have a library of probably not all, but many of his conversations. I think many of the broadcasts that Dr. Lawrence Gelman provided here on KURV, he used to have a Saturday morning show. Many of that, I think, made the pivot over to social media, to YouTube. I hope his family are able to preserve that, so you can find probably some of Dr. Lawrence Gelman's shows, opinions, Saturday morning contributions, and some of the other shows, the special programs that he broadcast on KURV Radio, from KURV Radio. We're so blessed and honored to listen to that. He had no equal. Dr. Gelman, he was awesome. And I tell you what, when I heard Tuesday morning and friends were checking in, it really stung. I had a hard time continuing in the 8 o'clock hour. And we lost a giant. We lost a giant on Monday night. He was, I understand, with family, and that's it. It came to an end. He was a powerhouse. He was, man, I'm trying to think how to describe Dr. Lawrence Gelman if you did not know him and knew of his contributions to our community in the RGV. Dr. Lawrence Gelman, he was one of the most essential, powerful columns of support in South Texas. Dr. Lawrence Gelman, he was a giant in our medical community, a giant in intellect, but in philanthropy as well. Dr. Lawrence Gelman was one of the original founders of Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. We remember his life. We give, as best we can, a proper tribute, and we say thank you to his family and bless his family, the Gelman family, with continued life and strength and health and prosperity. I'm going to read for you from the obituary for Dr. Lawrence Richard Gelman, who many of us gathered last night to remember. There were hundreds and hundreds of folks at Kreidler Funeral Home, and today most of these folks, and probably many more, headed to Temple Emmanuel Cemetery on South Ware Road in McAllen. Well, let me share most of the obituary as was published by John Kreidler, all the gang at Kreidler Funeral Home. As we remember and we give tribute, we send love to his family. We remember Dr. Lawrence Richard Gelman. Our friend Dr. Gelman, of course, made his home in McAllen for almost 40 years. He passed away on Monday, the 19th, surrounded by his family. Dr. Gelman was born in Chicago, Illinois, October 22nd, 1951. And I did not know this about Dr. Gelman. You see, of the many interviews that I had with Dr. Gelman, the many shows that we helped Dr. Gelman with, I only scratched the surface when it came to his early medical profession, his love of Chicago, the teams, and I didn't know this. Dr. Lawrence Gelman, born in 1951 to Sidney Gelman and Zena Adler, Holocaust survivors. Amazing. Gifted anesthesiologist, and he was a critical care doctor as well, Dr. Gelman. He devoted his career to caring for the patients that he encountered, mentoring new doctors, medical professionals. Dr. Lawrence Gelman was a visionary, a trailblazer. And I love how the family wrote this, because I think it gets pretty close to describing Lawrence. Passionate, yep. Strong-willed, absolutely. Relentlessly ambitious that he was. Oh, he was so strong. Unwavering in his pursuit of his dreams, despite many challenges, obstacles. Yeah, he got it done. Dr. Lawrence Gelman worked tirelessly toward the causes that mattered most to him, including, and I love the way this is worded, because many years ago, Dr. Gelman explained to me how he referred to babies in utero. Undelivered infant. He stressed that it's an undelivered infant. It is an infant. It is a baby. It is an infant, yet to be delivered. So he never referred to babies as unborn child. And he emphasized that in some of the radio programming that he did on KURV and some of his writings as well. Dr. Lawrence Gelman, always an advocate against injustice faced in this country and around the world, a staunch defender of, and I'm adding this, a staunch defender of Israel, the Israeli people, the Israeli state. I just added that to the obit because those issues came up in many conversations on the radio. Dr. Lawrence Gelman fought for preserving, celebrating art, for example. He had an eye for color and stained glass. Today, we have the Gelman Stained Glass Museum next to the Basilica. If you have not go there. It is gorgeous. He had an eye for that, and he bought and preserved all this stained glass from cathedrals and churches, historic places, many times empty now. But he brought that to South Texas. That was one of his biggest hobbies. And many other numerous ventures. He loved history. Oh, he loved history. Oh, man, he was a powerhouse, a library, a walking library of history and political history. History dates back thousands of years. I added that. Dr. Lawrence Gelman will always be remembered for his love of God, his love of his family. He adored his wife of 46 years, his pride, or his children. He will be remembered for his generosity to friends and strangers alike, and I witnessed that, and I know many of y'all witnessed that through the years, how he was so generous with people he didn't even know, but wanted to protect them and save them and help them and raise them up. He was known for his brilliance, unmatched intellect. I added that, unmatched intellect. And his wit. I'll add this. The last picture I took with Lawrence was in November at a function at the country club. Somebody I guess it was the lieutenant governor who came and visited. And there he was, like he was a present at many of these important functions, and took a picture with him. And him, if you knew Dr. Lawrence, it just is his face. He wasn't overtly smiling like you would expect other people. Right? He always had he didn't look mad. He just had a pretty serious face. And I told him, Doc, you need to smile more. I told him, you need to smile more. The guy showed him the picture, and he looked at me and said, I am. I am smiling. That was him. Dr. Lawrence Gelman, our friend, our brother, our teacher, our mentor. Survived by his wife. He adored his wife, Maria Esperanza Gelman, his children. I went twice yesterday to see the family, and it was full. It was wonderful to see how full it was. I left. I needed to pick up my son. I came back. I needed to see Alex, and I needed to see Rachel, and just hug them, shake their hand, just tell them that I love their family. And I'm glad I was able to see them. Dr. Gelman survived by, as I mentioned, his wife, Maria Esperanza. Alex, God bless you, brother. His wife, Miriam. Zena Bash, her husband, John Bash. Sharon Gelman. Sharon, thank you for sending me that text message. Sharon broke the sad news. She sent me the text message from his phone on Tuesday morning while I was on the radio. Thank you, Sharon. I'm sad I did not get to see you yesterday. I know you were there. Dr. Gelman, Dr. Rachel Gelman, may God give you strength. Rudy Mireles, her husband, there last night. Dr. Gelman survived by his grandkids, Mabel, Diego, Miguel, Maria, Benjamin, and his 3 younger brothers, Eddie, also Howard, his wife Sophie, and Steve, his wife Arlene. Which, may I say, as I was there last evening at Chrysler Funeral Home, there was a young man, a thin young man walking around. He was the spitting image of Lawrence Gelman. He looked exactly. I'm guessing that was one of his brothers. So last night was a visitation, and it was packed as it should have been. And at this moment, probably some folks making their way, parking over at Temple Emmanuel Cemetery, South Ware and McAllen. Thank you, Lord, for the life, the light, the blessing that was Dr. Lawrence Gelman. Please give his family strength. I want to play for you a small segment of, we'll just punt it a little bit, Freddie. Take it to the bottom so we can continue this message. This is just a small segment of his hours and hours and countless amount of hours that he spent on KURV radio to communicate his point of view, his message, his defense of liberty, his defense of founding principles in our nation, his defense of intelligence and logic, his call to everyone in the audience to think deeply on eternal truths, liberty, capitalism, individual liberty, responsibility, all those wonderful things. Of the many, many hours that we have chronicled, the few that we've captured, the many more thousands of hours that I hope are out there somewhere on YouTube. This is just a small sample of our friend Dr. Lawrence Gelman on KURV, a conversation we had back in 2023.
So the logical mind, let's look at the difference between the logical mind and your non-logical mind. You hear about this thing about connecting dots, right? Connect dots. And the smarter you are, the more brilliant you are. If you're an Einstein, you take a dot and you can connect it to outer space. The rest of us are just like trying to connect dots that are next to each other. But there are some people, and it's the ability to connect different dots that causes invention. If you look at all the invention, if you look at the light bulb, something like that, or the airplane, and we look at it in retrospect, it doesn't seem all that difficult, does it? but obviously it took geniuses to put them together. But if you look at it, it says, well, we're just putting electricity through a wire and it gets hot and glows. What's so hard about that? Okay, so, but it's easy in hindsight. Everything's easy in hindsight. But what could they do? They were able to connect those dots, connect the dots of electricity through a wire in a vacuum, et cetera, and logically, there was a logic behind it. Court cases have no logic. They have just precedent. And that is why you can have one court coming up with one solution, with one decision, and then the very next court, throwing it out. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. With the same information, okay? I can understand 100 years later, but no. So the logical mind connects dots. The illogical mind connects dots that don't exist. That's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. They connect dots, which are not there, but they pretend that they're there. Now, let's connect some dots. Did Joe Biden win this last election? Of course not. He didn't get close. In fact, he was wiped out. How do I know this? Let's look at some. I just said, I know that, so the Wright brothers knew man could fly in a heavier-than-air machine. They knew it. So because they knew it, they just had to figure out a way to do it. But they knew it. Everybody else was saying, can't be done, so they didn't bother, right? Or they'd make some fancy contraption that wouldn't work. But the Wright brothers knew it could be done, and they just figured out a way to do it because they had a logical mind. And everything they did was extremely logical, if you look at them. So let's take a look at the 2020 election. So in the presidential election of 2004, the total number of people that voted was 121 million. Mm-hmm. In 2008, 130 million. In 2012, fewer people voted, 128 million. 2016, 128 million. And then 4 years later, 155 million. Okay? So right away, something is weird. Okay? Now, and of course, Joe Biden won. Now, Joe Biden got 12 million more votes than Barack Obama. What are the odds of that? Pretty much zero. Okay? No odds. That's not possible. So if you look at now, other thing I looked up. Now you have presidents that win re-elections and you have presidents that lose re-elections. Let's look at the numbers. So Jimmy Carter lost in the bid for re-election. He was the incumbent and he lost against Reagan. If you look at state by state, and look at just Jimmy Carter's numbers, what do you see? You see that in every state of the union, he received fewer votes, even in those states that he won, like he won New York or whatever. Even though in the states that he won, he still received fewer votes when he ran for re-election than when he first ran, and he lost. George H.W. Bush, exactly the same thing. George H.W. Bush received fewer votes in every single state when he ran for re-election. Every single state, he got fewer votes. Even in states that he won, he still got fewer votes than the previous election. Now let's look at incumbents that won. So let's look at Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan got more votes in every single state, and he won. Okay. Now Barack Obama, when Bill Clinton ran, he got more votes in about 46 more states than the previous time. Okay. Even in states that he lost. Same thing with, he still got more votes than the previous, even in the states that he lost. Okay, I want to try to keep this as clear as possible. Barack Obama, he got more votes in most of the states, even in states that he lost than the previous election. He got more votes. Okay. Donald Trump, who lost, got more votes in every single state, not most, almost all, every single state, even California and New York. He lost those states, but he still got more votes in 2020 than 2016. And in Pennsylvania, which he lost, he got 400,000 more votes in 2020. 400,000. Same thing in Michigan. He got almost 400,000 more votes Those are huge numbers. Think about it for a second. Now, they were talking about that Donald Trump disaffected people. They didn't like the way he talked. He was crude, things like that. He was all Twitter. But the facts are simply this, that he got more votes in every single state, and he got more votes in key states. But he still lost the election. He lost Michigan. He lost Pennsylvania, among others. Now, you look at it, and you look at it logically. First of all, what are the odds that you have 16 years of between 120 and 130 million people voting for 16 years? In fact, in a couple of those years, they voted less than previous years, the total number. And then you had this incredible jump in 4 years from 128 million to 155 million. So he went from 121 million to 130 to 128 to 128 to 155. Something is amiss. And Donald Trump won every single state with more votes. So I'm looking at it, and Biden, who's feeble-minded, who barely won it, cheated even in the primaries to get in, who has got 1% of, I mean, nobody cared for Biden, even in the Democrat Party. They just wanted to keep Bernie Sanders out.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Got 81 million votes, and Barack Obama never even cracked 70 million. Are you telling me Biden was more popular to the Democrat Party than
Barack Obama? Yeah, twice.
Now, in the Republican side, now you're thinking, oh, there was crossover. Nonsense. Because Donald Trump got 11 million more votes in 2020 than 2016. So there weren't any crossover Republicans or independents to Biden. Didn't happen. So if you put it all together, and the fact that once in a century things happened, okay, why should that happen? We're completely opposite of what had ever happened before. No incumbent who lost ever got more votes in the states. The incumbents who won got more votes. But Donald Trump got more votes and lost.
You know, his mind was always churning. Just a sample of all the facts. It was rolling in his head, and always, man, where did he find the time? Man, he did it. He always that was his passion. His mind was always working. A few years back, he published a book. It's like War and Peace. It's this thick. It's wonderful, great collection of where his mind was. I'll describe it as a clinical dissection of the key Supreme Court decisions that almost from the start of our republic, from not that long after our republic started, the methodical drip erosion of original intent in the American Constitution to codify the protection of liberty. Fall from Grace was the name of his book, and had so many other works that are provided online. We honor, we remember, we love Dr. Lawrence Gelman. We pray for peace and strength for his family on this day that around this time now, his body will be buried. The time is 9:32. This is the Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV. I want to say thank you to all of our supporters on KURV Radio. Thank you to Chamberlain Roofing, Waterproofing. Thank you to South Texas Buick GMC and Lone Star National Bank.
In the Rio Grande Valley, 18-wheeler traffic is heavier than anywhere else in Texas. So if you're involved in an accident, know that big insurance companies will not play fair because they only care about profits, not your health, not the costs you have incurred.